How often do you tell yourself, I always mess up, or I'll never get this? This episode is all about absolutes and how to reword them. Hello, my beautiful, gorgeous dance baby, and welcome to another episode of More Than Dance. Today's episode, we're talking all about absolutes. This is always, never, every time, and not sometimes, because every time in my head, I always think sometimes, always, never, because of math class. Do you remember that? Anyway, we are talking about when people say always and never. So I'm going to give you a list of sentences that I hear on a regular basis. Every time I go to dance, I always mess up. Every time I go to dance, I never remember the choreography. And even sometimes, like, Josh and I will say that to each other, like, oh, you always da da da. And we've learned together not to say that to each other because we know that it's actually not a fact. And if you do believe that that's a fact, then you're changing your perspective on your own self of your experience of dance. So if you're telling yourself, I always mess up every time I go to dance, why on earth would you want to continue to go to dance? Then are you even giving yourself credit for any of the stuff that you do really well at dance? Or are you even acknowledging the idea that maybe you can mess up all the time, and at the same time that you're messing up, there's still this amazing, beautiful thing that exists at the same time? Or if you say, I never remember the choreography, do you think that the moment that you do remember the choreography, you're going to even believe that you did because you're going to have it so ingrained in yourself that you never remember choreography? So maybe you'll even like psych yourself out into not remembering it, even though you would have remembered it. And now it's just like this whole mental game. That's the reason why we're not going to use absolutes. And I'm going to teach you exactly what to do instead. People say things like, I'm always behind, I never get turns, I can't do this. Do you remember how I talked to you about I can't in that episode? And I told you it's not about I can't. Like there are things that we don't know how to do. I mean, let's face it, we're humans, it's going to happen. So instead of saying I can't do this, I can't do that, I instead encourage you to say, how can I do that? So if you're saying I never get this, I never do this, how can I become better at that? Or I always forget. Okay, well, part of it is also coming to terms with the fact that dance, oh my gosh, there are so many things going on at the same time. This is like a backwards absolute. It's impossible not to mess up. But I'm not going to say that because this is the non-absolute episode. It is highly likely that you will mess up in dance. And I know this because as a dancer of 30 plus years, I still mess up all the time. Even in a performance, like there'll be like little mess ups. You won't probably see them. I'll know about them, but they're still there. I guess I just don't have that much weight on them because like it doesn't mean that much to me. I still deep down, again, building that self-trust. I know that I'm a great dancer. I know I have beautiful strengths with dance, so I'm not like attacking myself for when I mess up. However, in the learning phase and learning process, it's very vulnerable and it's very easy to lean into what you're observing. What you're observing is your struggle. You're seeing the fact that it's very difficult to memorize movements. It's difficult to transition from one move to the next. It's hard to have weight transfers and going from one weight of the leg to another and doing so in a way that is stylistic. There's a lot of depth in dance. And there's a lot of movable parts. So it's no wonder that there's so many opportunities for error. When the opportunity for error increases, the stakes are higher. So this is like life insurance 101. Do you ever watch Along Came Polly and they're seeing if they can insure Lilo? Whatever the guy's name is. He's like the Australian guy that's like a really high risk person. He like climbs things and Leland Van Loo. He just does all of these crazy things. And so like when people are thinking about, okay, do we want to insure this person? They're like, well, there's so many opportunities for him to actually like hurt himself badly. So do we want to take that risk? Well, in dance, there are so many opportunities for you to mess up. So it's like, can you flip it so that instead of I keep messing up and I always mess up, it's when I mess up. So it's like acknowledging that when it happens, when I mess up, this is what I'm going to lean into. Or when I have this moment of forgetfulness, I'm going to keep going. And that's where we talk about our get the F there moments. And you go straight into the next move. Now, what happens to you when you tell yourself these absolutes? Well, your brain is funny because it will start to listen to you and it will really trust what you're saying. So if you're saying that you're not good and you always mess up, your brain is going to not do the work and think otherwise. It's going to take you for your word and say, okay, well, I believe you, and you always mess up. So there's a feedback loop that's going to happen, and it's I go to dance, I always mess up. Your brain's like, yes, you do. And that's going to play into your confidence when it comes to learning harder routines or bigger skills with more technique. Your brain's going to say, even before you can even consciously think, hey, this is one of those things that you can't do. Or, hey, this is one of those things. Remember you told me last time, you don't do this. You don't know how to do this. So you're almost losing to your friend, the brain, because before you get to try something, an attempt, make your big attempt, it's going to cross off the list and say, don't do that. You can't do that. You told me already. So it's almost like your brain will start going into an autopilot mode of saying, we don't do that. And then if it continues like that, well, then you will have an absolute. And the absolute is you'll never get the opportunity to refute it. So what's better is to catch yourself in the act. So I'm going to give you some homework. The next time that you hear yourself saying always or never, or every time, I want you to catch yourself and just make a note of it and just be like, okay, I did hear myself say that. Interesting. Or, wow, I didn't realize I said that. In fact, today I just got a text message from one of my students and she had just listened to the episode on the word just, which is episode 98. And she was like, I am becoming so aware of how often I write out the word just and how often I say it. So the first step is to create your awareness around saying those words. I realized, so maybe you let 1 week go by and you're like, oh, wow, I say those words. The next is to take a little bit more inventory. You might want to know exactly how many times. So you might keep a tally and be like, I said that word 5 times today. And then what we want to do, because with everything, we don't just go from doing something to not doing it. That's just not how we work. We go through and minimize it. And I can tell you with some of the words in our word shift series, like try and just and even can't, like I'll say it and I'll be like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that I said that. Like try. I say that word probably the most of all the word shift series words because to me, it's still like I'm acknowledging an attempt and forgetting sometimes that the attempt is you doing it. And we say try because we want it to be our best shot and we know that it's not going to be. So yeah, if you want to look up that one as well, that's another one to just refresh yourself on and getting back on track here. So creating the awareness around it, yes, but understanding the actual data behind it is going to help you have results. So you might write down exactly what the situation is. So I said, I always mess up. And then we get to workshop that. So how can we make that sentence a stronger sentence and not fool our brain into thinking that we're going to be in that state forever? So you might say, this time at dance, I messed up. And here's why. I forgot this part. And then it's so sectional that it's like, okay, well, this was just an occurrence. And then your brain is going to say, oh, like, girl, please, that happens. And we just move right on from it. And it becomes kind of like a lesser load for you to carry. It might be helpful to use the word struggle because it acknowledges how something can be really hard. And the act of struggling, it's pretty in a way. Like I like it because we know what comes out of a struggle is something so amazing. So if you have a struggle and you get through it, it's like, oh, you did it. Heck yes. Like it's something to be really celebrated. I think of all the times where I've struggled and I've come out the other end and it's like, oh, like, man, that feels good. And being able to celebrate that is a whole other thing. We know that because we know celebration is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself. So I struggled with that today, or that was really getting me today. You can also use my favorite word yet, which is I haven't gotten this yet, or that part was hard. I didn't get it yet. And what this language does is it leaves the door open for you to get it. And it allows for two things to exist at the same time. You can be a dancer and be working so hard and you can still mess up. You can be such a beautiful dancer for 95% of the dance and mess up 5% and it's still a great run. So part of the reason why this is so good to start doing is it keeps you curious. And if you know, something that I started really saying recently is your learning process should stay more in the curiosity than the defeat. And there's little tricks to the trade of staying in the curiosity versus feeling defeated. And this is one of those. The more curiosity you have over defeat, the longer you'll be able to stay in the game, the longer you'll be able to continue your learning journey. What I really love about this language is it's so helpful for you, not only in the dance world, it's helpful, as I mentioned, Josh and I, like we pay attention to that. It can happen in your work. It can happen as like part of the conversation you have about your identity. So if you say like, I'm bad at this, like, no, like this part was hard for me. That's it. So letting this positive language transfer into other areas and zones of your life is going to be really helpful as well. And you might find that each part will encourage the other part as well. So it's another thing, like once you start doing it, it's going to be easier. At first, you'll be like, oh my God, I say that so much. I didn't know. And then you'll be like aware of it. And you'll start journaling about it and you'll think of your replacement sentences. And then all of a sudden you'll be like, okay, I'm aware, I'm heightened, I'm divine. I don't mess up all the time. I just mess up sometimes. And that's great. We don't want to be 100% perfect because we know that that doesn't exist. And if that did exist, that'd mean we were robotic, and we don't want to be that way. So I hope that this was helpful for you. And I do want to leave you with some reflection questions, as I know those will be helpful for you as you're learning your way out of absolutes. The first question is, what do I say I always do? The second question is, what do I say I never do? The third question is, what would happen if I softened that language? And the fourth question is, how will this change my experience at dance? So I hope that this was helpful for you. And if you received value from this, it would mean the world to me if you share this to your Instagram or share this with a friend, as this can help someone else on their dance journey just like you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the dance floor.